obviously you've been ahead of two trends, right? So one is the subscription kind of media trend where you guys recognize that fairly early. And then the second is kind of this personality or what is now being called creator-driven content. So let's start with the subscription first. You really, it sounds like, came up with the subscription revenue out of necessity because the advertising revenue just kept being so kind of lumpy and so much fluctuation, right?
Amen. I mean, it went from like 26 million to 12 million. We were desperate. I quit the hedge fund. Again, rancorous, sadly. Pre-medication, a lot of rancor. And then I realized, look, if we don't have a subscription revenue based on personality, as you said, we're not going to make it. So I started doing, we had doing real money, which people paid for. None of the venture capitalists wanted us to do that, but it was only real revenue. And I realized I was writing on real money and people kept reading this one column where I was offering action alerts. You would get an action alert on real money, it'd be a red arrow. And people would then say, Jim, I wish we knew more about those. So I started actionalertsplus.com, which is by far the biggest moneymaker that we have. I fought a lot of the CEOs over having a subscription model. I one time even tried to buy the subscription business from a CEO who will remain nameless. And at all times, there was tremendous tension. At all times. And it was kind of like a jail. It was a jail where I ended up making a lot of money. I admit that. But it's the subscription business is a bear because you got to be there every minute. I'm very lucky to have Jeff Marks, Zeb FEMA, to back me up. We have we turned into a club. That was important because we can't tend to do what we'd like to do because of the restrictions I have to CNBC for the Charitable Trust. So we offer a club. We offer different recommendations. You have to know your suitability. But mainly we try to teach you. These people who are Robinhood people, the 13 million strong, they should all, I was trying to figure out, do I do a skinny version for them? Because they desperately need the education that we provide. I'm very proud of the club, even though it's probably the biggest time consumer I have other than Mad Money.
And talk a little bit about, I know that you're very big on the financial literacy, right? Just the absolute lack of financial education that both our schools have, but then ultimately what ends up our population. Talk a little bit just about that problem and kind of how you see getting fixed.
Well, Pomp, one of the things that just absolutely drives me crazy is that the irrelevance of the vast majority of things I learned. I was thinking today, I don't know why. I was thinking about my biology class in 8th grade. We cut up a lot of frogs. If we had cut up a lot of dollar bills, we would have been smarter. It is incredible to me how little people know. Frog legs versus fibers. There is, without a doubt, a dying desire for people to make money with what they see, whether it be Amazon, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Snap, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Alphabet. They want to make money. And they want to make money in individual stocks. That's different from this long progression we have from individual stocks all the way to indexing. I think that's peaked. And now we're back to individual stocks again. And, I struggle. I struggle because what I see is people making the same mistakes that I saw in 1980, 1990, 2000, 2010. Now they're doing 2020. They play with their hearts. They don't know what they own. And I'll give just one really good educational tip that's worked for me. Before you buy a stock, give me 3 reasons why you would. Now, see, what happened is the electronic e-trading made it so that people didn't have to ever talk about a stock. They just buy a stock. So a lot of people buy the Vaxarts, whatever it is, the Sorrentos, which is a great city in Italy. And they end up completely getting killed because when the stock goes down, they don't know what they bought. So then they sell. So my number one educational suggestion is if you have the time and inclination, you can buy individual stocks, but you better know what you're buying or else you really do have to default and just try to save over time with an S&P index fund. But it is just terrible how little education. That's why people keep borrowing money to buy stocks. I don't mind borrowing money to buy a house because you live in it. But when you borrow money to buy stocks and the stocks go down or the options go down, you're out of luck. And therefore even though I'm Jimmy Chill, you're stupid. Try to be Jimmy Chill.
I love Jimmy Not Chill, but we'll take Jimmy Chill today. That's fine.
Thank you.
In terms of the kind of creator or brand as an individual, right? Obviously, Mad Money, people know you. You've on there every single day, punching buttons.
About 3,400 shows.
3,400 shows. Wow.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Cramer.
So help us understand, where did the idea come from in terms of making you the personality to drive all of the media and content?
Start from radio.
Oh,
I had a
interesting.
radio show called Real Money. Started in 2001. Why? Because we needed to make more revenue for the street. I gave the revenue to the street. I would introduce our writers. The opening was a monologue, and then I did the Danger Zone. Then I took calls. I did a lightning round. That's where the lightning round came from. And then I do an educational piece, and then I would do what's coming up today or later in the market. It ran in a whole lot of radio markets. It was a very big success. It started out kind of a minor network, and then it went to Bloomberg. We used to run it 3 times a day. He loved it. And then we switched to CBS, which was fabulous. And I did radio and TV. I did Real Money and then went over to Mad Money until I got nodes in my throat. I was saying 15,000 words a day. That's too many. I got a doctor's note that I gave to Les Moonves, who at that point was not disgraced, and said, listen, he can't do the show anymore. Les let me out of the contract, and I now just do TV. But the TV show is the radio show on TV.
Got it. And did you have a soundboard for the radio show?
Yes, that's where it came from.
I
had a fabulous producer by the name of Dave Gorab, who runs talk for Sirius Satellite. He's a genius, and he came up with Lightning Round. He came back up with Am I Diversified? He came up with the format of this opening, and then he came up with the idea that you have to be educating. So we had that big educating financial literacy block. The radio show, I like the radio show very much because I happen to love Dave, and we had a lot of rhythm. But when I was about to leave CNBC, because I wanted to do the Mad Money, and the CEO laughed at it and thought it was stupid. Got a new CEO, Jeff Zucker. He listened to the radio. He said, "Hey, I want this on TV." And a month later, we had it on TV right after the Eagles lost the Super Bowl. Because was that their Dominic Nab threw up in the final seconds. There was ill-advised.
Did you prefer television or radio in doing the show?
I got the face for radio. I think that's important. I still can't believe people would watch me. It's frightening. But I absolutely love TV because I'm surrounded by amazing people. Radio is a very solo experience. People don't realize how solo it really is. I mean, you're sitting there with the headphones and the microphone, you're just going. TV, I've got this tremendous supporting group. I got a great executive producer. I have a stage manager. I have all these great people in the control room. I've got all these people on the floor running with cameras, all of whom, of course, in my fantasy football league, the Slumpadicka Fantasy League. And they're all my friends. I've got my head writer is also my only writer. That's my nephew, Cliff Mason, who is my sister's kid. He started as a high schooler. We got all the other writers fired when he decided to go to college. He wrote the show when he was in college. He writes all the written pieces. I do the top, though. And it's an unbelievable support network of people who love each other. And it's all led by Regina Gilgan, the executive producer, who has built a team unlike any other. I like team sports. And I like the team that we put together, and they make it possible. If they decided they didn't want to play anymore, that'd be very hard for me.
Absolutely. How important is it that you had the experience as a hedge fund manager for all the stuff that you're doing on the media side?
It's everything. Because I know that what I say is based on real life mistakes I made and real life good things that I did. I used to keep a shoebox in my closet of all my bad trades. And every month I would review it and curse at myself and look at what I did wrong. And it would enable me to be right. That's why I spend a gigantic amount of time talking about what you do wrong. Because if you do things wrong and you don't note them and figure them out, you're not going to change. Doing things right, well, that's fine. You don't need to worry about that. But doing things wrong, that is sinful. And I spent a lot of time in my book, Real Money, describing all the sins that I committed. And I think it's very important for people to recognize that the wins take care of themselves. It's the losses that wreck you.